or the accumulation of wealth depends upon the readiness of men to postpone the gratification of wants in the present, in the hope of greater satisfaction of their wants in the future. Self-denial and saving is the road to the accumulation of wealth or capital. Toward this end, the Pakistani and Russian people were involved in 5-year economic savings plans which helped these countries to build a strong economic system, which enabled them to improve the standard of living of their people.
What's up, fam? Welcome to episode 16. Can you believe it, y'all? Of BBI Talks. Our topic for today is BBI 201. So yes, you have entered the classroom and our teacher will be arriving shortly. Our topic for today is building a Black economy. And for those who don't know, BBI Talks is the platform in which Black business owners discuss issues that matter to us. I am your host, Professor Karriemah Lotus, and we have a wonderful guest with us today, y'all. Brother Yusef Ali, owner of Ali at Lakewood, which is, believe it or not, a 6,000 square foot commercial and event venue. You heard me, Atlanta. You heard me, the world. It's BBI Talks.
We gotta bring businesses back. My business is black. My business is black as the universe. I know why they mad. They gotta react, cause we're universal influencers. I can supply you the man. Get what I need out of the land. The earth is the kingdom of God. Glad that I know where I am. We gotta bring businesses back. My business is black. My business is black as the universe. I know why they mad. They gotta react, cause we're universal influencers. I can supply you the man. I can supply you the man. Get what I need out of the land. Glad that I know where I am.
Brother Yusef Ali, welcome to BBI Talks.
Good afternoon, family.
Thank you so much for coming on today. We have quite a bit of ground to cover because you've just done so much and can continue to do so much in the community. So let's start from the beginning, I guess we could say. American Logistics International. If you wouldn't mind sharing with everyone, what is American Logistics International?
First, I want to thank you, Doctor, for allowing me to come on and meet with the extended family. And I want to thank the extended family for welcoming me into their home. Okay. You know, years ago, I think I might have been 14 years old. Well, first of all, American Logistics is an international company. We have office in Turkey, India, Qatar, Dubai, and Jakarta, Mexico, and of course a plant here in America. And what we do is that we are the third largest pre-engineered steel fabricators. And we've been around since for 43 years.
Wow. Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. And for those who may not be familiar with what steel fabricators are, if you can kind of explain what does that look like to us?
Well, what happened is that you may bring me a set of blueprints. Instead of building your structure out of wood, you may want it done out of steel. Mm-hmm. Well, we take your blueprints and we take the steel and we fabricate it into the shape of your building, which means less labor, because when it come out to the site, it's already pre-engineered pretty much. You stand it up, screw it together, pretty much like the stadium.
Okay.
We do most. Our largest client is the U.S. embassies. Mm. We're working in 7 different countries right now, I think.
Awesome.
Because they are refortifying their structures with steel. And And there are not many African American or blacks that are on the international scene. No.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure. So that brings me to my next question. How were you able to elevate to the point where you could pursue those types of contracts?
Well, believe it or not, Doctor, years ago, my sister, when I graduated from high school, I couldn't get a job.
Wow.
In fact, my aspiration was going back home to Griffin, Georgia. I graduated in Atlanta, by the way.
Okay.
To go back to Griffin and get a job at a textile mill. That was my aspiration as a young child.
Yeah.
And they wouldn't hire me.
Mm.
So, two of my friends, they was hired, and they pledged that they would do everything in their power to get me a job there. But fortunate, they didn't hire me.
Right.
Well, it was on a Friday evening, day before the 4th of July. Walking back from that place, I had purchased one of these little magnets that you test different metals to see if it was aluminum or copper or whatever.
Wow.
Well, on the way back, everything I touched was aluminum. And so I looked at my two friends and I told them, I said, you know what, guys? Don't worry about that job. I'm going to be the junk man. And they thought that was the worst thing on planet Earth. Now, Sister Karriemah, fast forward 1 year later, I was still trying to get a job when one of my friends came to me to borrow some money. That was the first time I ever saw someone else's check other than my own. And when I saw his check, I looked at him and I said, Brother Kenny, about that job, don't worry about it. As a young kid, married at 18 years old, I was doing over $1,000 a week. I'm sorry, $1,000 a day in junk.
Wow.
That's $1,000 a day in junk. I thought I was poor because I lived within my means. They had the new apartment, the new cars and all of that. I got married at 18, so I had a family to raise. And so I lived within my means. Little did I know the wealth that I had accumulated.
Wow.
So to fast forward from that, I wanted to be able to get into the construction business. And so I joined the union here in Atlanta, the sheet metal union. And in the process, they wanted someone to learn how to do environmental work, but the union workers didn't want to do it. I took the class at Georgia Tech, 1 week course. I had to raise my hand and they swore me in as an expert after 1 week.
1 week.
After 1 week class, they swore me in. Anything that I say, do, can be used against me in a court of law. I was a professional. No college degree, no everything, but I was a professional. Well, that's what led me on my way to what I do now. It was a natural progress. If I go in to remove asbestos that is in your drywall, you need someone to put the drywall back.
That's right.
So the natural progression was for me to go into the renovation business. And after I started doing that, the military would start tearing down all the old military barracks. So after I go in and remove the environmental contaminants, the natural progression for me was to buy some equipment to tear the building down. Then the next thing I know, they asked me if I could build one of that dormitory.
Wow.
So in 1989, I was one of the first blacks to own a Butler pre-engineered metal building franchise. Going into the metal business, pre-engineered metal building is what led me to where I am today.
That is amazing. That is an amazing story. So, okay, so now, you know, I have to ask the question, Brother Yusef Ali. Did you experience or have you experienced any racism being a Black man in that industry? Because I'm assuming that, you know, that not only were there very few where you are now, but even in the beginnings, did you experience any kind of pressure or bullying from other people trying to pursue that industry?
Yes. You know, the Minister Farrakhan often tell a story where that he was calling the white man the blue-eyed devil and blah, 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 blah. And the Honorable Elijah Muhammad called him one day and says, would you stop throwing trash in that well I have to drink out of?
Right.
You know, you may know the story.
Yes, sir.
Well, I took that same approach.
Mm-hmm.
I know that this system don't belong to me.
Right.
It don't belong to us. They make the laws and they lock us up for breaking those laws.
That's right.
So I had to learn the laws in order to navigate around those laws. So naturally, yes, I experienced the same systemic racism, but I had to hire, like I have an office in Lexington, Kentucky. I had to hire a white manager for that office in order that I get work in Kentucky. You know, I don't mind. Let me tell you, my objective is to get in the room where the knowledge is. I don't care if I have to go through the back door, down the chimney, cut a hole in the floor. My objective is to get on the inside so that I can get to the knowledge. Most of us got hung up on how we got inside.
Right.
That didn't matter to me. I just wanted to get inside. And I say that to say, yes, racism was very prevalent when I started.
Yes,
but
sir.
believe it or not, most of the obstruction came from us.
Really?
Black folk, yes. 65% of all the procurement agents, people that contracting officers, go to the city of Atlanta, the people that do the buying and purchasing, most of them look like us.
Right.
Those are the ones that gave me the biggest trouble.
Oh, wow. So
because they were afraid to step outside of their comfort zone. And so those who were my white brothers, they felt superior and they didn't mind stepping outside of their comfort zone. So I was able to maneuver more with them and accomplish more with them because of that so-called artificial superior complex.
That's I'm glad you're sharing this with us, brother, because it causes us as a community to be more self-reflective,
right?
And to really begin to look at how we view each other in business when we're talking about Black ownership. So I appreciate you sharing that and telling your truth, your experience, and trust me, I believe you're not alone in that. What do you think the apprehension was in terms of stepping outside of the box? Like, was it afraid that the Black-owned business would not be successful in that contract, and so they were nervous about extending it? Or was it that they never knew that there were Blacks that were in the industry? What do you think some of that apprehension was linked to?
Honestly, I believe a lot of it was conditioning, training. You know, we're taught to go to school and get an education to get a job. And that's just what the CEO of Starbucks coffee, it's just a job. No, it's not her business. It's just a job.
Right.
So all of our top executives, whom we boast and brag on, are just employees. So they are restricted to whatever their employer tells them to do.
Right.
And they dare not step outside of that box. It's not their business. So it led me to know and understand early in life that jobs do not sustain community.
Right.
Businesses sustain community.
Right.
Because if Arthur Blank would move the Atlanta Falcons, guess what go with it?
Money.
The jobs. All the jobs and money go with it. That's his.
That's right.
So the jobs don't keep our community going. It's that stadium that keeps the community going. That's what we have to have. We have to be the Arthur Blanks. And I hate comparing myself to an Arthur Blank because I know we're bigger than that. No, we just need the opportunities to express ourselves and grow.
Absolutely.
So to answer your question, I think it's the training, the conditioning. The fact is, 98% of all of our college graduates have jobs. 98%. We have over 2 million black businesses. 2% of black folks, just 2% of black folks do all of the hiring of all of the blacks. Just 2%. Now, of that 2%, 98% of them are consultants. They have not one employee. Remember now, that 2% hire all of the blacks. And of that 2%, 98% of them have no employees. So that means 2% of 2% hire all of the blacks. Now, if I would ask you, how many employees do black business have today? It's less than 1 million. We're 42 million people plus. We only hire less than 1 million of our own people. Now that's sad.
Yes, sir.
So, and the reason why is that we all have jobs. Or we all are consultants. We have worked for someone else. Now, if you want to get something from them, come to me, and I'll show you how to get it from them. So we're a consultant. So I vowed not to be a consultant. In fact, one of my leaders was the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. He said, we don't need doctors. We need scientists. The scientist is the one that create the medicine, experiment, and he give it to the doctor. And he tell the doctor, when you recognize these symptoms, tell him to take 2 aspirin and call me in the morning.
Right.
He don't know what's in the aspirin, but the scientist does. So we have to be scientists. If we're going to change our community, we have to be scientists.
Okay, so I want to slow down a little bit because I want to make sure that we talk about Ali at Lakewood before we get into our topic today. I want to make sure that we lay this foundation right. So now, if you wouldn't mind sharing with the audience again, what is the vision behind Ali at Lakewood?
Well, again, well, first I want to correct you. It is not 6,000 square feet. It is 36,000 square feet.
Oh, thank you. Okay, 36,000.
What just like we did in East Point, we would advise not to go into the hood. Put your business in the industrial park. Put your business, too much crime there, too much this. My son and family, we said, no, 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 no. That's where it's needed the most. It's in the hood. So we went in the middle of the hood, bought the worst property that you can think of, put money in it, and changed it into an oasis. That's what we did in East Point, and we brought high-paying jobs. In fact, I think we had about 50, I want to say over 50 employees at that facility when we did it in East Point. Now in Lakewood, we think it's the last frontier. So we went to Lakewood and found the worst property we can find in the worst area that we can find. Just to show that if it's going to change, it's going to be up to us.
Beautiful.
We purchased the building and we put about $2.5 million in it. We have bought up all of the property that we can buy up in the area. And our purpose is to create first a financial hub to create jobs.
Yes.
Then phase 2, we're building 20 affordable homes in that area. We just finished our first one. We closed on it last Friday.
Awesome.
So we're going to do 20 affordable homes. We were told to sell the property for $400,000+. We sold it for $280,000. Now I know that's against the business norm.
And there are other properties in the area that are selling at $450,000 and above.
In fact, the next property behind Lakewood Stadium, we have about 12 lots there. A couple have come in and they're building a $780,000 home.
Go ahead.
And so we're going to build some homes, but they won't sell for $780,000,
right?
Because we know who can afford those,
right?
And that's going to further the gentrification. Our purpose is to prevent gentrification from happening in that area, and so that's why we're trying to keep it affordable. And that's the purpose of Ali at Lakewood. We have a 6,000 square feet assembly hall.
Okay, that's where the 6,000 comes.
That's where the 6,000. And so, what we did in East Atlanta, we opened it up to the community. All a person had to do is call and get on the schedule. There was no charge at all for that.
Oh, wow.
Now, there will be a charge for this one, but it'll be a minimum. We just had, I think, 5 weddings there free of charge Sunday. Sunday.
Wow.
But the whole purpose is to bring economics back into our community.
Beautiful. Beautiful. So, Brother Ali, as much as you are willing to share, for those who have the desire to revitalize our communities, what are some preparatory steps that we can take that will position us where we can make these types of moves? Because obviously this is not something that happens overnight. So what does that process look like?
I often argue with us. They have this bill on reparation coming up real soon. It's a study for reparation in Congress.
It was today.
Right. That is the most asinine thing it is in the world. Let me tell you why I think so. I don't need anyone to do research for me. We've had over 1,200 employees. We do our own research. After 1,200 employees, over $312 million a year. We don't wear it like a badge. So we do have some knowledge of how to do it. Now, if you want reparation, in Georgia, we have 159 counties. 21 of those counties are predominantly Black, meaning 55% or more of the registered voters are Black, and over 55% of the population is Black. 21 counties like that in Georgia. 535 municipalities. 141 municipalities are in the same category. East Point, Lithonia, Fairburn, I can go on, 141 of them like that. $22 billion. 22 billion. How do you spell reparation? We're asking them for reparation. That is our reparation. None of them had come together and said, Let us solve our own problems. That's just in Georgia. Now, I have that data for all 50 states. We have over 2,200 black cities and towns in America. Trillions of dollars come through our hand, and we're asking the white people for reparation. Let me tell you how it works. When I get up in the morning, my intention is to feed, clothe, shelter, and provide a future for my children, my family. They happen to all be black.
Mm-hmm.
But what do you think my white brothers are trying to do? The same thing. They're trying to feed, clothe, shelter, and provide a future for all of their people. 97% of white folks work with white folks. Now, this is not a racial statement. 97% of white people work with white people. They're doing a good job of providing for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
But guess what else? 98% of black folk work for white folks. They're doing a darn good job of providing for us too. We have $22 billion in Georgia alone from the municipality. We don't collect one dime for reparation. So why try to do it up in D.C.? All Atlanta has to do is raise their hand. All Fairburn has to do is raise their hand. The majority of the board are black. Raise their hand to do a economic reparation tax, whatever they want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
But it'll never happen. So, and the reason why is that we're overdoing it. Like the land bank. I went to one of the local municipalities that had 300 properties.
Mm-hmm.
Offered to buy all of them. Put together a strategic plan,
mm-hmm.
a 50-year strategic plan.
Mm-hmm.
But the property we were going to start working on the property immediately.
Mm-hmm.
They put it over into the Fulton County Land Bank. And guess when they put it into the Fulton County Land Bank, now they give it to whoever they want. They give it to corporate America.
Mm-hmm.
How do you think Arthur Blank get $300 million for that stadium?
Mm-hmm.
How do you think CIM get $2 billion or whatever the city gave them for that project? Guess who's doing that? We are. But yet we're going to them for reparation. It makes no sense to me. So I think we can change the thing if we just start with us. We did the numbers. In the state of Georgia, we about 33% of the population, blacks.
Mm-hmm.
We get less than 2% of any kind of work from the state of Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
Well, guess what we get from black folks? Less than 2%. So how can we point at the state of Georgia and say what they're not doing when we're not doing it?
Well, I'm a firm believer, Brother Yusef Ali, and I definitely respect your position, but I'm a firm believer that we can walk and chew gum at the same time. And I definitely do not want to absolve anybody from their responsibility, not even us, in terms of securing our reparations. I think it's long overdue, and as long as there's breath in my body, I'm not going to stop demanding it because it is owed. Our ancestors' blood soaked into this soil, and the loss and the continued loss and suffering that we experience. Oh no, we're owed that. However, I do agree with you wholeheartedly that there is opportunities for us to reach out to our local government, our more immediate government that is just as complicit, and to get our reparations that way. And as a matter of fact, a few weeks ago, I don't know if you saw the show, we had Councilman Mark Baker on, and he actually was one of the first to propose a reparations bill on a local level for this very reason. And so prayerfully that will pass, and we will have more Councilman Mark Baker step up and begin to make that push, and prayerfully now knowing that this is something that you are definitely supportive, perhaps there's a way that we can collaborate to support other political or elected officials, give them the support that they need to continue in that quest. I'm curious to know, like, I still want to know though, brother, how do we start the process? Okay, even if we unify, right? And we begin to pursue revitalization efforts, what is the process to positioning ourselves to be able to even come to the land bank and say, I can buy all the properties, you know, that you have on your roster? And trust, I've been to the land bank, so I know exactly what you're talking about. So I've been to their meetings and everything. I've seen their list of properties, and many of them are residential properties that have gone into foreclosure. So these are in our community. So these are definitely properties that we should be taking ownership of. But how do we position ourselves to do that?
You know, I do agree. In no way am I saying abandon the effort to get what's rightfully due to us,
yes,
through
sir.
reparation.
Yes, sir.
I just think that my first obligation is at home.
Yes, sir.
And it starts there.
Agreed. Yes, sir.
That's the lowest hanging fruit.
Yes, sir.
I can go to my refrigerator and grab something out quicker than I can come to your house and get something out of your refrigerator.
If my husband says okay.
Right, and I do understand that. But I'm saying it's easier for us to start there,
yes,
to set
sir.
the example.
Absolutely.
But here's how I think we should do it. You know, we've gotten away from the basic principle. Now, Jimmy Carter was a mentor of mine. And he used to come to Griffin, Georgia every Sunday and have Bible school study. And he used to challenge us in stepping up and doing taking on manhood. He used to ask me as a 12-year-old, what if your mother don't come home? What are you going to do? And I would say, well, she got to come home. She my mother. He said, well, what if she don't come? What are you going to do?
Wow.
So those type of questions position me to think different.
Yes, sir.
But one thing that our foreparents always did, with less money, they had long-range plans. My mother told me, if you want to go into business, get your business plan together and save your money and go into business. I hear many people come to me. I have many people come to me wanting to go in business and hadn't saved one dime. So how are you going to go into business and they've been planning for years? Sister Karriemah, you just do a survey. You ask the people how long have they been trying to do what they're doing, and they'll tell you average of 10 to 15 or 20 years they've been trying to do it, but they hadn't saved not one dime to start. If they want to open up a restaurant, get your plan together, save your money. You may not be able to open up the type that you want, but you're working toward a goal.
Yes, sir.
And you can do that. And and you can do that. Okay. But they look at it, they've been taught to use other people's money.
Right.
Tell you what I did with my family.
Yes, sir.
At 18 years old, I started a 300-year plan, saving plan. 300 years. So you know it's not for me.
Right.
$3.71 a day. $25 a week. At 3% interest. Get 3% interest. 300 years. And this is what our foreparents did.
Yes, sir.
300 years, that's $300 million.
Come on now.
Let anyone do the math. All they have to do is save $3.71 a day. At 3% return on that money, at 3% interest, not 50%, not 100%, just 3%. In 300 years, that's $300 million. I started mine when I was 18 years old. And Karriemah, let me tell you, I've saved more than $3.71 a day.
Mm-hmm.
Well, each one of my children, they have a 300-year plan. When they turn 12 years old, they have to present to me. I have 5 sons and 1 daughter.
Wow.
Each one of them had to present to me a business plan at age 12.
Excellent.
It may be cutting the grass. It may be doing whatever it may have been. But they presented to me a business plan to start that 300-year plan. Now, you do the math. We did $312 million last year.
Mm.
Each one of my children have a 300-year plan. My oldest child is 48 years old. Now, you try to figure out the wealth that we have in my family.
Mm. Beautiful.
That's just me.
Yes, sir.
I'm just one. That's how we can change our neighborhood. Simple living, high thinking, big thinking, and faith in God.
Beautiful.
You know, and that's how I think we can do it. Don't try to compete with Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead and do what Brother Sharif did. Open up the little neighborhood store and support it.
Mm-hmm.
That's our approach. So the building over here, Ali at Lakewood, is in a trust for my 6-year-old. That's his building.
Beautiful.
You see how the wealth built?
Yes.
I have 15 grandkids. Every last one of them have property in a trust for them. When they turn 12 years old, we turn their saving package over to them and show them how to manage it. They have to grow it for 300 years. And it's some more intricacies go along with that.
Yes, sir.
But that's how I did it. That's how it worked for me.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
And I never asked anyone, not a church, not a mosque. Sister Karriemah, I've never been to school a day in my life.
Mm-hmm.
Let me say that again. I've never been to school in a day. I say that I have an environmental training certificate for 1 week.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as college degrees and all of that, but I got 1,200 people work for me.
Mm-hmm.
You know how many schools that is I paid for?
Mm-hmm.
You know how many homes I paid for? I'm just one.
Yes, sir.
That's what we have to do.
Awesome.
That's how we take control of our community. But it would help if the government would think outside of the box. You know?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Awesome. You brought up, well, I'm curious to know, because I'm a firm believer in books, resources. Are there any books in particular that are books that you refer even your children and grandchildren to?
Yes. Number one, the Quran is number one.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Praise be to
Allah. And
Allah.
to learn the Arabic language so that they could interpret for themselves and not have other people interpret for them.
Beautiful.
Okay. And there are books like the ISIS paper of Francis Wellesley.
Yes, sir.
The Black Cats by Sean Rochester, I think his name is.
It's called The Black what?
The Black Cats. It's a must read.
Okay.
For the black community, The Black Cats. And that's several more. And the most recent one is Isabel Wilkerson, The Cast. C-A-S-T-E, Cast.
Isabel Wilkerson?
Wilkerson, yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm writing these down so that way.
And the one before that was Sean Rochester, The Black Cats. And then, of course, the ISIS paper of Francis.
Cresswell Singh.
Well, yeah, that's correct.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Beautiful, beautiful. So now, if you wouldn't mind, sharing a little bit more about Ali at Lakewood. Now that we know that there's a 6-year-old who actually owns that property.
That's right.
Amazing. I love it. I absolutely love it.
Idris Muhammad, Idris Ali, I'm sorry. Idris Ali, that's his building.
That's his building. And it's so funny. It's funny that you say that, because when I was in the hospital room after I gave birth to our first child, my mother came in and said, sign here, here, and here. And you know what that was. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. Mm-hmm.
So I definitely understand. So tell us something more about Ali at Lakewood. I mean, my husband and I had a chance to go and visit. We went into Atlanta favorites, Iwi Fresh Oasis,
okay.
Which is absolutely beautiful. So what else about Ali at Lakewood?
On the second floor of that same building, we have 8,000 square feet. We're going to do a shared kitchen space.
Beautiful.
And that to help a lot of the creative minds who can't afford a building.
Yes.
They will have a kitchen with everything that they need to produce that product. We're going to have approximately 10 kitchens in there.
And that's commercial
and each
kitchens?
All commercial.
Awesome.
Yes, all commercial. That way you don't have to rent a place. You come rent it for an hour if that's all it's going to take.
Yeah.
But we're trying to offer them, we're trying to build a community that the whole objective is not what we want, but we did a survey of the community.
Yes. And
the overwhelming result with that, they needed jobs, a place that they can do business at. That's why we created the floor.
Mm-hmm.
But we're going to have a cannery. A cannery is going to be part of one of those kitchens. Where if you want to produce your product, we have a miniature cannery where you can come and put your ingredients in the kettle and cook it and hit the button, it'll put it in the jar and put the label on it, and you can take it out and sell it or whatever you want to do. And so things like that. And then you go to the third floor. We all say we are a broken people. Well, on our third floor, we have psychiatrists, sociologists, chiropractors, a lot of the mental health.
Yes.
On that floor, and we have coming soon a dentist office to that building as well. And then we're going to build a standalone building for a kind of medical center. We need some medical in that area. So we're just trying to, all of that is on that same complex. Now, when you come on down from there, you have the one and only Tassilis.
Yes.
We can't wait till they open their doors.
Yes. Yes.
And below them, you have the world famous black coffee.
Okay.
It's three young brothers out of California, but they have one in Los Angeles. They have three of them, one in Boston, and I think one in Maryland. This will be that fourth one. They call Black Coffee. They're coming on the floor below Tassilis.
Okay.
Now out back, all of the land out back of ours, we're trying to secure that school out back. We hope in the near future to do a 22-story live, work, play community out back. If it's going to happen, my sister, it's up to us. There's no need of us asking anyone else.
Yes, sir.
And we have done all of this out of the Ali's pocket.
Beautiful.
We have not gone to anyone and asked for a dime, just out of our pocket. No.
Beautiful, beautiful. So when do you anticipate the shared commercial kitchen to be available? That's from one of our viewers on Instagram.
Well, we are working on it now. With the pandemic, it's setting us back probably about 3 months.
Okay.
So I'd say within the next 3 to 6 months, we hope to have that up and running.
Okay. Awesome. Awesome. And so what kind of opportunities are still yet available for those? Because obviously a lot of people are just hearing about it now. So are there any opportunities that people can get involved with Ali at Lakewood?
Yes. One of the companies that we started is called Umat Holdings. Okay. And that part is dealing with the community. So what we decided to do, instead of doing it ourselves, I think we take 3 people at $50,000 each, and we build a house, and they get their money back out, and I think 30% profit in 3 months or something like that. That's the way we can keep the houses affordable, but it's an investment opportunity as well. No, okay. So we're going in building the houses right at 180 and trying to keep them affordable, selling them for 280. That helped them recover the money on top of their investment. That's one thing people can do. But we still have some space available.
Okay.
Those who are in the food truck, a catering business,
yes.
Where you have the food truck, we're providing 10 spaces also on that same second floor for 10 food truck, food catering business.
Okay, awesome. Awesome, awesome. And of course, people can still make the request for the event space for a nominal charge.
That is correct.
And then those who may be medical professionals, there's going to be a medical office that they can lease space there as well.
That is correct.
Okay. Okay. I just want to make sure everybody knows where they can get in and fit in.
That's right.
Amazing. Amazing. So what is the next step? I mean, once you do this, what is the next level for you within the metro area that you feel comfortable sharing at this moment in time?
Well, I say this, whatever we do, it's going to be in the hood.
Awesome.
We would not go in the Buckhead, and we won't go into those type places. We want to stay amongst us and show that we can do this thing,
Yeah.
And so our next venture would be phase 2. I got 2 more new grandbabies, and I gotta buy some more building to build some more. I got to build some more building for them. And so we're going to build the next phase. Hopefully, it will be the mid-rise building. I think it's going to be 22 stories high. Senior citizen,
beautiful.
retail and wholesale on the 1st to the 3rd floor. But number 1, we only want indigenous businesses. So if you want to bring an IHOP, it won't happen.
Awesome.
Now you want to bring a Dr. Karriemah hop, it's doable. But we won't have any IHOPs and all Popeye chicken. Everything we do, we have to build our own brand. No.
That's right. Okay. That is absolutely right. Awesome. Well, I know we'll definitely be reaching out for not necessarily Karriemah hop, but we my husband has an amazing business that he is, just really taking off with. So I'm looking to see maybe there's an opportunity there. So now when it comes to building that Black economy, right? We talked about revitalizing our communities, and I'm sure that's a huge part of it. Employing each other. What are some of the other things that help us to build our economy? And I also want to say quickly before you answer that question, I love the fact that you did community surveys, because I think that is something that we don't typically do when we go into business, and that becomes our Achilles heel. Is that we don't ask the community what the need is. We assume because we're passionate about a business that the people will come if we build the business, and that's not necessarily the case. So if you wouldn't mind sharing, what else helps us to build this Black economy?
I think if we do more, most of our colleges are liberal arts schools. Except like Tuskegee, and a few of them are still have a lot of vocational type hands-on. I think in order to build it, we need a whole lot more of vocational training. Mm-hmm. It was the hardest thing for us to do, to try to do 100% Black for that building. It was almost impossible. Because most of the plumbers that we hired were Black, but they were using someone else's license.
Yes.
So we have to somehow get our children into those fields. Mm-hmm. And we have to take a chance on them.
Yes.
They're all not going to be perfect the first time. Some going to take your money and run. Once I find out who that person is, I'll let you know. So but in the meantime, we have to take chances on each other.
Yeah.
And not think that we can't do it. We can do it. So I think in building our Black economy, we have to take chances on each other.
And it's interesting that you mentioned that you had a tough time finding us in terms of that have our own licensing. One of the things that I found when I was doing some research is that you have to work. Well, first of all, the vocational training is paid for by large construction firms, typically Caucasian-owned construction firms.
That's correct.
And so the training is only designed for them to hire you for their projects. And so the other part of that coin, or the other side of that coin, is that if you desire to become a general contractor, you must work under someone in that field for a certain number of years before you can even apply for that contractor's license. So that's one part of it. And then the other part of it is the lack of desire to get the proper bonding and insurance, and CPAs, not wanting to spend the money on getting CPAs to cover your books.
Right.
But now there are opportunities out there once you do. I don't know if that's something that maybe you can speak to both domestically as well as internationally.
Yes. I have a program called Access to the Process. Throughout my journey, there are so many shortcuts and loopholes that we as a people just don't know.
Yes, sir.
For example, the highest law of this land is the Constitution. And if you do anything outside the Constitution, it is illegal. I don't care whether it's a state, city, whatever it is, it's unconstitutional.
Yes, sir.
It's illegal. Well, Article 1, Section 8 gives Congress the power over commerce. Congress have the power over commerce. Well, Congress have created programs that give us a distinct advantage. I can take anyone, I don't care who you are, if you're in business, if you dot your I's and cross your T's, in 1 year, you'll do a minimum of $1 million. The access to the process helps you access in order for you to process. Do you know right now it is the federal law that every recipient of federal funds, do the city of Atlanta give federal funds? Yes. Recipient of federal funds must first spend that money, anything that is $150,000 and under, it first must be spent with socially and economically disadvantaged business.
That's correct.
No bid.
That's right.
So now, why can't we just go to the city of Atlanta since there's no bid? $150,000 and under. That's a lot of businesses. See, they building a stadium every day. But they buying coffee, they buying paper, they buying cutting grass. They're doing a lot of those $150,000 and under. We know how to access those processes. And that's what has made us so successful. We do business with 20% of all of the state, the local government in the state of Georgia. 20% of them we do business with. That's because we know how to access. We know the law. I go to them and tell them, you don't have to put this out for bid. You don't need a bond for this. Let me show you what the law says. Now, when I get a friend in that position, I'm not bribing. I'm not doing anything illegal, immoral, or just plain dumb and stupid. I'm just telling them what the law says they can do. And we get to work.
Awesome.
It's really just that simple to me. But I can't convince enough people to think outside of the box. I do classes, and I have in my phone today over 2,000 mentees. The largest one being Sylvia Bigosby. She did $670 million last year.
Awesome.
To the smallest one, who I've been mentoring for the last year, they went from 25,000, they're doing over 700,000 now. That's 2,000 of those in my phone. Do you know the power that is?
Tremendous.
That's tremendous power that I have nurtured.
Yes, sir.
So when I say network, I can make a couple of phone calls, and they are forever grateful for helping them get to the position they are, and they will respond. Yeah.
Awesome. So how would someone who's interested gain access to the process?
I do have a website called Access to the Process, but however, the pandemic, I hadn't done any more training since then.
Okay.
Since last year, but I am going to do some virtual training so that everyone needs to know how to access. Everyone needs to know the laws. No,
yes.
Everybody needs to know the laws.
Awesome. Well, we will definitely continue to check back with you on those virtual classes, because I know that those who are in this viewing audience would be definitely interested in signing up for that. That sounds like it would be absolutely superb.
And Dr. Karriemah, if you want to set something up on with your knowledge of this, I'd be more than happy to come do one free for you. The more of us that are doing it, the more of us will succeed.
Well, I will say, brother, yes and thank you. It don't take long for me to process that. Yes and thank you, brother.
And I tell you how important they were. I used to do training for the University of Kentucky. At the Rupp Arena. They would have over 1,200 attendees paying $1,100 to come to my class. And out of that class, you got Zaxby's. Zaxby was one of my students in one of my classes.
Oh, wow.
they want to know how to get on a military base.
Mm.
And that's how they got that start.
Yeah.
DHL USA. They claim to be Native American. One of the partners. They were one of my class. You know, they were big overseas and stuff, but they got big here, especially after coming to my class.
Wow.
So, and I'm talking about, I didn't even list the old people in my phone, but they're also in my phone.
Yes, sir.
So we need to share this same type of knowledge with all of us so that it is second nature to us.
That's right.
To know how to access and know what our rights and laws are. You know?
Yes, sir. Yes,
you know, and I say this, and I love to talk because I didn't get a chance to go to college. That's supposed to be a joke, but what happened is this. We on a local level, there are over 10,000 laws on a local level that the average person must know. You know, spitting, if you spit a spat on the sidewalk, that's a misdemeanor.
Yes.
Now we have 10,000 laws. Do you know right now today, if I would tell someone, do not shop with Israel, do you know that's a law in Georgia? Punishable 1 to 5 years in prison, $1 to $5 million fine. That's the law in Georgia right now, and 32 other states. You cannot attempt to boycott Israel. But who knows those laws? So we have to know these laws in order to navigate and be able to access the process. We just don't know them.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, I will say this, brother. I know you have been more than gracious with your time, and I know that you stepped away from something that you're taking care of for one of your businesses. And I didn't forget. I thank you so much, big brother. And I definitely would love to take you up on your offer. So we definitely have to have a conversation about that offline to see about bringing you back. And I pray that you will even be a partner with BBI Talks so that we can continue to educate our people on what it is that we need to acquire to be successful and be unified.
Let's make it happen.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Do you have any closing thoughts or anything that you want to share about?
Yes, I do.
Information related to Ali at Lakewood?
Yes, I have. You know, I would like to close by saying this. In the beginning, God created everything.
Yes.
The heaven, the earth, everything. And he needed somebody to keep it in order. So he made man.
That's right.
And man got the big head. So man went walking around looking at the giraffe and said, "What's going on, my main man?" And all the other creatures say, "Did he call the giraffe a man? Something wrong with this dude." And so they called God. And you know how you call God when you get on your knees. And God came down, he looked at man and he said, he is acting kind of peculiar. Let me open up this man and see what's wrong with him. And God opened man up and he said, that's the problem. It's all stuck on the ribs. Common sense. The common sense was stuck on the ribs. So God said, I can't take it all out. So I'm going to take this whole rib out. I'm going to leave a little common sense there. But most of it is on this rib. And that's a compliment to the women. So those of you who don't have your common sense, I got me a common sense. Her name is Victoria.
Come on now. Come on now.
And God looked at the man and said this: I have made you out of the dirt of paradise, the land of civilization. And every time you let anyone call her by another name, you will lose your grip on it. The name of this land is Al-Kibulan, the land of civilization, the mother of civilization. And most of us, the reason why we don't have control over it now, because we call it Africa.
Mm.
We don't call it by what God wants us to call it. Al-Kibulan. Al-Kibulan. We need to teach our children to use proper language and claim what's rightfully ours.
Mm.
And I want to say, all of you brothers out there, you better get you some common sense. Thank you, my sister. I appreciate you.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. Look, my husband wants you to know he got his common sense.
I know he do.
I thank you so much for joining BBI Talks, big brother. I really, really do. We are just so honored.
Anytime you need for me to do anything for you, my sister, I like what you're doing. I think you are much needed in the community. I think a lot of these big-headed brothers need to get behind you. I think we need to raise money to make sure that we have our very own.
Yes, sir.
It is very important for us to have our very own in Atlanta. And we don't need to, for anyone else to go out there. Anyone listening to me, don't come to me trying to start another station. It ain't time for that yet.
Mm-hmm.
BBI is the only one right now. Mm-hmm. Let's nurture it. Let's make it grow. Then you may have a chance to get out there. After Dr. Karriemah says okay.
You're gonna put that on me. Oh, thank you, brother. I do.
Okay. Thank you, my sister, and I appreciate the opportunity.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Okay. And I want to thank those of you who have sponsored BBI Talks. I want to thank the Reparations Institute. The declaration is out. As a matter of fact, earlier today, HR 40, which Brother Ali and I discussed a little bit earlier, went before the Senate Judiciary. And so prayerfully, we will be able to bring Professor Reginald back to BBI Talk so we can kind of go through that, y'all. And I don't know if you've had a chance to watch it, but we're going to have a lot to discuss. I also want to thank our beloved sister, Ninth and Maxwell. It is a vegan nail polish line. Oh my goodness, the color she has, sisters, is amazing. So please check out her line of products. The colors are beautiful and they're vegan. So we don't have to have formaldehyde, you know, what they use to preserve corpses. We don't have to put that on our nails, sisters. We have an alternative, and we have a strong, brilliant Black woman who prepared this for us, designed this with us in mind. So we definitely need to support those who, of course, support us in our platform. I want to thank those of you who join me on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Thank you. Shout out, crazy shout out and love to Sister Najma, 1614 Oils. Get her oils by the case, y'all. I want to thank Geneva, Geneva Grove. Thank you very much for joining BBI Talks. When you see it, please be sure to share, share, and also hit your notifications on your YouTube, so that way you will know when we go live and you can participate in the conversation, ask any questions of our guests that you so desire. This is the end of our show. I'm still lit, y'all. I mean, this brother gave us so many things to really just kind of think about and move out on, and we're so blessed today to be able to hear from a brother who has really, by God's grace, built a legacy for himself, for his children, and also for the community. And if this is what we say we desire to do, then I think we should study what brother is doing and duplicate it. I also want to shout out to my son who's watching. Thank you so much, hun. And to my daughter, thank you. I love you. And of course, I want to thank always my super duper funky producer. Cold funky producer. That's supposed to be like back in the day. Like that was the one you say he's dope. No? You ain't going for it? Okay. Well, I want to thank my husband, my honey, my love, for always being so very supportive of what I'm doing here on BBI Talks. And thinking of ideas and helping with scheduling guests and talking to those who are on the platforms and just keeping me straight in my thoughts and everything. I just am so appreciative of his love, his care, and his support. So we will see y'all next Wednesday, same time, 3 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And this is BBI Talks, and I'm your professor, Karriemah Lotus. See you next week.
We gotta bring businesses back. My business is black. My business is black as the universe. I know why they mad, they gotta react, cause we're universal influencers. I can supply you the man, get what I need out the land. The earth is the kingdom of God. Glad that I know where I am. We gotta bring businesses back. My business is black. My business is black as the universe. I know why they mad, they gotta react, cause we're universal influencers. I can supply you the man. I can supply you the man. Get what I need out the land. Glad that I know where